All right, let's get started. Welcome everybody to the last presentation of many wonderful presentations I've seen. I hope you enjoyed. I enjoyed it a lot. My name's Bernie Drahola. I'm the owner of Drahola Technologies. I'm located in Lake Wylie, South Carolina, and we do geospatial engineering and software development. So I'm connected with a group of GIS and software development experts around the world. As I said, I'm in South Carolina, and there's another team close to Stuttgart in Germany, and we do have another entity in Mongolia. That's our development hub. In today's presentation, I would like to walk you through how you can use QField and QGIS in order to go out in the field and collect some data. We heard about that earlier today from Marco, I believe, and there were some other presentations that mentioned QField as well. In this presentation, I can really give you some hands-on. So if you've never seen it before, it's quite easy to use, and I'll show that. And once we got that mastered, I will switch over to an application that we are about to build. It's called EA Maps, and it's based on Openlayers, and it's just for deploying data. So I'm bringing a real life example from one of our clients. It's a small city in Germany, and they're working with public works inventory, mainly landscaping data. And they approached us and have been asking us, hey guys, we want to improve our daily work. We want to get our landscaping a little bit, more smooth and make it more efficient. So all the tasks that they have, mowing the lawn, cutting trees, raking leaves, all that, what they do on a daily basis, they want to do a little bit more efficient. So they approached us and asked us, hey, is there a solution? And as so often, there's little to no budget, but they gave us 3 parameters to work with. They know there's QGIS around as an open source solution, and they wanted to work with that. So we said, okay, that's not a problem. The second one is a little bit more tough to digest. The entire staff they have is basically on, they're all newbies. They haven't heard about GIS yet, but they're desperate to get into it and use it as a tool for their daily work. And third, they have the necessity of offline editing. So that's a must-have because the area they're operating in is not entirely covered by mobile data, and that's a perfect fit for QField, as you will see. So how do we organize the landscaping data? And remember, they just want to get the basics done. They want to identify and digitize all their landscaping areas, and then eventually turn that and use that into a more sophisticated work order application. But they want to do the groundwork by themselves because ultimately they will work with those areas all the time. So as we know, there's not a big chunk of landscaping. There's lots of landscaping areas, and they can be tiny, a few square feet, but they can also be soccer fields or parks. So first thing we needed to do was to categorize it and make it into put it into more manageable units, and then eventually later on put the work order description in relation to that. And the good thing about that, if we do that and if we manage to do that with all the landscaping areas, we can also use it for any other kind of infrastructure data or facilities they have, like roads, traffic signs, bridges, and so forth. So landscaping per se is not, a new invention. It's been around for a long time. Public Works does it all the time. So we thought, well, why not? We don't want it to reinvent the wheel. Probably someone already has a good concept on how to tackle all the things that are related to it. And indeed, we found a research association in Germany. It's called FLL. They basically worked on guidelines how to manage landscaping areas. And one of their core recommendations was, hey, you got to break it down into certain levels, what I just said at the beginning. So they said, hey, there's got to be object types, area categories, area types, and contents. As an example, take all the facilities that are outdoors and then just only take those that are areas where you can plant stuff on it. And eventually what you want to plant on it is a lawn, and that can be, in detail, a soccer field. And they have a catalog for that. Unfortunately, that catalog is not very GIS friendly. Nevertheless, they have all the information in there, and it's already broken down. And they also have, once you are in one of these in the final level, there's all the work that you can do on this area, and it's also recommended how often you should do it, once a week, twice a week, whatever. So to start with, we had to break that apart and put it into a more GIS-friendly format. And that being said, we just created a table for each and every level to make it more easier to work with. And how that looks like in QGIS, I can show you that real quick. Just go over there. So this is our project. This is just a small demo project. And as you can see, we have these landscaping areas close to this roundabout. And we have two types of geometry. We have points and we have polygons. And we've chosen to put all the attributes towards the points because that's ultimately the geometry we want to use in the field. It's much, much more easier to digitize a point if you have a small smartphone than digitizing an area. And we also have some really good aerial footage. That's a foot resolution, so that's good enough to identify all the areas from within the office by using that footage. And we want to just go ahead and see what's inside the data. So here you have our different levels. I just quickly can open that. That's the first category. There's only 3. And then it's the further down I go, the more content we have. And if I go to level 4, you can see there's a ton of information in there. But we also carry over the key from the previous level, so we can connect those. If we want to see what's in our info field, I just pick one of these, and I see the levels represented here, and we have those 3 that we saw in the table, those 3 values, and depending on what I pick, everything that comes in the lower category changes, and it's very convenient. And I'll show you real quick how I did that. We had it in I think Clifford's presentation. He was using the form properties, the attribute forms as well. Same thing here. We want to go on drag and drop designer, and then we can drag and drop all the values from our table into the form layout and define for level 1. This is the level 1 table. I want to see all the values that are stored in the key column object type. Now it gets a little bit more complicated. If I go one level down, level 2, show me all the values in level 2, but only those that have the current value of the level 1 that I just picked. So I can kind of like query myself down to the next level very easy. And for that, you use the filter expression. Very cool, very, very fun stuff to use. So and that form that I just showed you, we can also use on the field. So I show you how this goes. Obviously, I have if I want to go offline, I want to have some background information. I do have a ECW file here, which is several hundred megabytes big. It's obviously too big to take out on a smartphone. Therefore, we can present our own background with QField. QField is a plugin for QGIS, and there's a project configuration that basically allows you to copy all the information that you have in your layer content pane over here onto the field. I take everything except the ECW because that's too big for me. Instead, I created a view, which you can do here, which kind of like represents the aerial footage, and say, hey, give me some tiles to take out on the field and make that 0.2 map units in accuracy. And I can only shrink that down, to only the map extent I'm looking at right now. And that's all the settings I have to do. And once that's done, I can make a package for the field, and I just pick a folder, and that was exactly what was earlier described as one of the methods that we can utilize QFields with. Let's just go here, and I created an export folder, and I'm using test 6, select that and create it. And so basically the entire project with all its data is gonna be copied over here, as you can see. And I'll just grab that real quick, copy, and then copy it on my phone, which I have connected via USB, and I just copy that here in the root folder. Okay, excellent. So now it's on the phone. I'm just switching over to, that's not what I want. Switching over to my phone. This is QField. You can download it on the Play Store. And you would just open a local project by navigating to wherever you put this QField QGIS package. In our case, it's test 6. There's a project in here, and it's importing the project. And as we can see, we already have a nice map in here. And I'm just using my phone real quick to zoom in. We have all the layers in here. That's only 3, but I can just pick that point layer that we opened earlier and make that an edit layer. Go back, very simple. And let's say we want to create another one. I'm just going in here. That's a nice area. And just move the crosshairs in here and say plus. And now it's pulling all the data from my form that I created earlier. That's level 1, level 2, and level 3. I mean, I'm just picking something random. That's an asphalt, which is not very helpful. But you get the idea. That's the date. Okay, and then the collector, Joe Green. All right, here's my new point. And once I'm done with digitizing on the field, I just go back and basically take this, what I have on the phone, back onto my computer, and that be QField import, paste that as test 6. And then it goes the other way around. I just import it from test 6 in the import folder, select that, and then I hit synchronize. And in a matter of seconds, I should have this point added to it. And as you can see, I'll just activate that layer. And if I missed anything, I can just go ahead and edit whatever I needed. Yeah. All right. Very easy, very simple. In a heartbeat, you just take data onto the field and then bring it back into QGIS. Very easy. So to deploy it online, there's like a bunch of ideas, and we are working on one as well. It's called Yay Maps. And we are able to get the data, and I imported that earlier here into an Openlayers environment. Here's my my roundabout. Doesn't have the data I created in there because I imported it earlier. But same thing, I can select any data. This was the one I created earlier, and see some data in here. Here it comes. I see there's not all the fields. Not all the fields are available. So I just go back and hit the settings. Give it a second. Go to field settings, and there I can define what kind of I need all these additional fields to make it look like what we had in QGIS. Okay, and also I wanna have the style that I have in QGIS, and then for that I just go on properties and export the SLD style. Save style. Pick the SLD. We intend to do that with QML as well. So, okay, export that real quick and switch back over to that Openlayers environment and go into styles. So you want to categorize that, import. That's the one I just created. And it's pointing towards the field FLINH. Here they are. I've got to save that real quick. And if I need to change anything, I can do that. And then we'll just go back to the map and make a quick refresh. And there I have the category, the symbols from QGIS directly. And then again, just select everything and then pick whatever I want. And I also can go in there and just work with the data and make some edits to it. So that's basically my talk. Quick and easy, very, very fluent. It's quite similar what we saw, I think it was the second day with Marta and Igor from GIS Cloud. Quite similar, just using QField and not the GIS Cloud tool. And there's many more to come. We would just want to tie in our Openlayers application, YAMAPs, into QGIS a little bit more. And what I hear and what I heard, in terms of getting the QField application into the cloud is very promising. I think we can make that more integrated that way in many terms, in many regards. Okay, so
thanks a lot for that, Bernie.
Yeah,
that was really interesting stuff. We have one question from the chat here. Does QField support offset measurements from manual coordinate entry or from a Bluetooth laser rangefinder?
I'm not familiar with all the hardware that you can use, but Marco was it? He mentioned that there's quite a bunch of hardware available. We saw the Trimble device. I know EOS is doing some great job in utilizing ordinary or more, field smartphones for that. But if it works with Bluetooth or other, hardware related stuff, I'm not familiar with.
All right, excellent. What was that web interface that you were using just there when you were loading up the layers? That looked kind of neat.
That's YAMAPs. That's a project we are working on since almost 2 years. It's called YAMAPs, and it's designed. It's basically something like ArcGIS Online. We said, right. Well, we kind of like need something else, but not as an entirely proprietary software system, but more tied into the open source world. And we're utilizing GDAL, Openlayers. We're going into the 3D part of it with other open source tools. So there's a lot to come, but it's a work in progress. If you want to follow up on it, it's YAMAPs.io. So there's
excellent. And from the perspective of QField, what are you excited about besides the moving to the cloud? Some of the other developments. What do you sort of want to see in there in the future?
Well, as you saw, I just picked a small area that I created a base map of. And if you have let's say you're dealing with any kind of waterworks, they have sometimes miles and miles of areas they operate in, and it's hard to get all the background data. So I would love to see some live data that you can work with, and I think that's what's coming with QField Cloud. And with that, you can integrate services like Bing Maps or Google Maps and have your background or any kind of service, but again, as long as you have reception. If you lose the reception, then you fall basically back to creating one of these background maps. I tried MB tiles, which work quite well with QField as well. So that's an alternative, because they're like hierarchical structured. So that's a good thing to use as well.
Yeah, excellent. That's great. Well, thank you for your time, Bernie. Thanks for presenting. It's really nice seeing that sort of transition from the desktop to the web to the field. There's really a lot of great development going on in that regard, and it's great to see users actually, making that connection.
Right.
So thanks for
Right.
your time, and this being the end of the conference.
Yeah.
Thanks to everybody who participated and
Yeah.
who watched the videos. All the videos will be up on YouTube. And as Kurt reminded us, let's all try to donate to QGIS and the other projects associated with it. This development doesn't come out of nowhere. It really needs the support of the open source community to continue. So once again, thanks to everybody. Thanks for everybody who organized the conference as well. I know a lot of people did a lot of work and sort of sat and made sure Zoom and everything was working. So yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, and kudos to the organization. Very great. Yeah. Thank you.